Hey everyone, so thank you for tuning into this third video. This video I'm gonna read the second chapter, and I'm just gonna give a bit more details about who or what these people or characters are. And yeah, I'll just get into it right now. So I'm just gonna read the second chapter just to kind of get into it, and then afterwards I'll talk a bunch about a bunch about what inspired me, who the characters are, etc. So this is chapter 2. It's called Fall in My Ambiguity. Ouch. His hands are too cold. I can't stand the cold. What if I whispered in his ear as all these people walked past us, tell him something to make him hot or water his eyes? The lamppost is as cold as his hands. I stand between two freezing objects, stealing my warmth. At least the sky was gorgeous, filled out all the average colors, lined it with a surreal purple and sparkling blue and an unreal sunset. I smiled. He began to pull me away, and we started to glide on the cement. I hate cement. It bores me. He was still pulling me along a crowd, and his hands were still cold. I looked up and tried to read signs that weren't in English. Nothing here is ever in English. I don't understand the combination of letters or see a word. We walk in. The building was colder than outside, colder than him. A shiver crawled over every crevice of my spine like a slithering snake. I'm so uncomfortable. Do you trust me? He asked me like I had much of a choice, as if I would respond beyond anything other than yes. He still held my hand, and we went down a few stairs. 6, I counted. I heard music all of a sudden, like my hearing chipped in after hearing his voice. We walked into a dance party. It was so dark. I couldn't see him anymore. I just felt his hand. He held me tighter as if to seep his coldness into me, or perhaps not to lose me. He walked closer to the music, and I could no longer hear my thoughts. People bumped into me and touched every part of my body that was exposed. Then we stopped. I was distracted by this ambiguous place. He turned around. His heart matched the beat of the music. He lifted my chin and looked into my eyes. It was interesting that I could make out his face and that his hands didn't make me back away. As I swam in my now audible thoughts, he kissed me. His lips were like frozen fruits, and I kissed back. He held me closer. I came closer. His heart matched the beat of the music. It was beautiful. So yes, this is the second chapter of the book, and interestingly enough, it is the first page I ever wrote. I have a note here that it's the first chapter I wrote. Life is no cabaret. Which was a Dresden Doll reference. They do have a song with that title, so check it out. It's pretty good. And I wrote it January 22nd, 2009. So at this point, I would have still been 18 years old, so that's pretty cool. Also, to some lines that kind of reminded me of other things. Do you trust me? Totally reminds me of Aladdin. Such a line that resonated with me as I was a kid. And them being in like kind of this surreal place, being in a dance club, etc. I just really like that scene. So there's pictures that I have as well of kind of what this scene reminds me of. So I'll try to take out my big binder and get that picture. So it's a really fun kind of introduction, kind of still laying out in this kind of ambiguous scene. Still no names being said or anything. So this is something it kind of reminded me of. Just the red, the very Euro kind of thing. I'm not too sure what country they're in, but I really, really love that. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. I see it as really dark and red and just like a huge party everywhere. Soon there'll be a bit more details about who these characters are. So to kind of get into it, I did say that they are a part of this girl Lydia's dream. So just to kind of get that into it is like, in a sense, Lydia is me. So these people that I've created and seeing their lives, they're capable of doing whatever I think is dreamy or whatever I think is kind of fun or neat characteristic to have, almost like X-Men. I always thought Mystique was cool. It's like she could just turn into people. Like, we love the fact that some people can fly or do certain things. So kind of they have powers that you can dream of, so to speak, and their experiences are very dreamy and really fun to look at. For some rules that I have about these characters is, one thing I try to do is have them not eating anything. So obviously, if you know anyone that's been a writer or something, maybe some people, maybe not some people, but it wasn't particularly something I did intentionally. After I read the first book, I kind of realized, I'm like, wait a minute, no one eats in this. No one eats, no one uses a washroom, nothing like that. It's kind of interesting to like go back and look at it that way. And then after that, obviously I tried to maintain it. After the first book, I did see certain rules of things that I did unintentionally that I continued to maintain. So that's just a little tip or tidbit about these characters. And again, as I keep reading, I'll let you guys in on a bit more. So yes, January 2009, I wrote that page. That's kind of, I believe I was just doing poetry. Like, it wasn't anything specific. I didn't mean to make it a book. I guess I had just kept those pages, that page, and maybe I had written one or two. And then when the page comes, I'll let you guys know. But in the summer, I remember watching a show, and then after that show, it just triggered something for me, and I just started writing nonstop. It was pretty awesome. I guess I have more. And okay, yeah, something that's interesting as well. So, her kind of not liking the cold, so that'll come up quite a lot. I hate the cold. Ask anyone that knows me, I complain about the cold all the time, so I'm not really surprised that that was the first book I wrote, but just that concept of standing between two things stealing my warmth. I could take in a lot of heat, but once the cold gets me, I am frozen. And I live in Canada. I've been living here my whole life. I've traveled and stuff, but I'm born here, and the cold's not adaptable to me at all. So yeah, also bringing up the not eating, I did say that the kiss tastes like frozen fruits. I believe I wrote something like that. So I think I wanted it to be pineapples before, because I love pineapples. I love frozen pineapples. So that's what I put in there, and that was something I had to go back and edit it, and I just put down frozen fruits because, like, I still want that imagery. Like, as much as, yeah, they don't eat food or anything like that, at the end of the day, it's my choice to write whatever I want. I don't have to follow any rules but the ones I set for myself. So I did go back and edit it, but I did try to maintain that lack of eating. Let's see what else, what other things I could say. Yeah, so another thing that's pretty cool is I do focus a lot on seasons. So especially being Canadian, I want to say our seasons are really cut up into 4, like, very clearly. Sometimes it feels like global warming's pretty intense. It was February, and it was like 13 degrees outside and really, really warm, but that's not usual. But in the book, especially the first book, the seasons are cut up perfectly. Also something that was not intentional. And you'll see that a lot where I describe, like, the weather, I describe what season's going on, how the earth looks when it's colder, etc. So that's something fun to look out for. Again, mainly for the first book, I want to say maintain it, and then there's kind of a deterioration of it towards the end, and that will make make sense when I get there. So, since I've talked for about 10 minutes now, I'm going to end the video. I hope you like this chapter. If you see back here, that's one of my paintings amongst some watercolor paintings, some art from school, some Salvador Dali, one of my favorite paintings. But yeah, there's my painting right there. Yep. So yeah, just wanted to kind of show you guys some of the art that I do have. So yeah, alright, have a good one, guys. Thank you. Bye.